Hello, welcome back to my channel. I'm Nicholas Sperling, and today I'm going to be talking to you about how I discovered my sexual orientation and came to terms with it. This begins roughly around grade 8. I was trying to figure out my sexual orientation. I discovered that I had feelings for both men and women, but primarily I had feelings for women, and so I thought that I was straight, but I was, I guess, bi-curious perhaps. I was trying to figure out if I was attracted to men, if I was attracted to women, if I was attracted to both, and I didn't know what it meant to be non-binary at the time, so that wasn't even a thought that had crossed my mind. I decided it was easier to be straight, and so I only pursued relationships with women for quite a long time. And when I started volunteering with Pride and came to terms with the fact that I'm trans, I also decided that I needed to explore my sexual orientation, and I wanted to try to figure out what this attraction to men was. I realized that the feelings that I had were mostly physical for men, whereas with women it was both emotional and physical attraction. So I realized that in terms of a partner, I was probably more drawn toward women, but I wasn't going to rule anything out. And I realized that the term that would best describe my sexual orientation was pansexual. Now, with that said, I also identify as a lesbian, I identify as bisexual, and I identify as pansexual. And the reason for that is, depending on who I'm speaking with, sometimes it's easier to say bisexual than pansexual because more people know what that means. And also, when it comes to being a lesbian, I recognize that because I have both physical and emotional attraction to women, it's much easier for me to say that I'm a lesbian than to say that I'm straight, because for the most part, I would struggle to be in a relationship with a man, but that's not always the case. I have found instances where I'm both emotionally and physically attracted to men, and I've been in a relationship with 2 men in my life, but most of my relationships are with women. And as a trans person, this is somewhat complicated. Dating in general is somewhat complicated, and I'll save that for another video. I think it deserves its own space to talk about that. Now, once I discovered my sexual orientation, I had to explain it to people. Not everyone. I don't believe in coming out to people, but the people that are close to me in my life are going to be asking questions. And even though my primary way of telling people is just to go and be with someone, I thought it was worth talking about it. And with my parents, I came out to them as trans, and I just sort of tacked on to the end, by the way, I'm also bisexual. I didn't use pansexual because I knew they wouldn't realize what it meant, but I said bisexual. I think in the heat of the moment, that was overshadowed by my coming out as trans, so they didn't really remember, and I did have to come out to them again. And I did that by simply dating a man, and they asked me why I was dating a man because they thought that I was only attracted to women, and I just responded that I'm bisexual. And we'd had this conversation before, but I suppose they didn't remember because of everything else that was going on and the shock of me coming out as trans. For everyone else in my life other than my parents, again, I just sort of showed up with whatever partner I had at the time, and people drew whatever conclusions they wanted to draw. This has been sort of my philosophy when it comes to coming out. I don't believe in making a big statement. I just live life the way I want to live life, and people can draw conclusions or put labels on it however they like. That doesn't really affect me in any way. The only time it might affect me is when I'm pursuing a relationship, because obviously you need to be upfront with the person that you're becoming intimate with, and you need to explain what your feelings are all about so that they know how you feel about them, you know how they feel about you, and it's just a standard conversation that you need to have with any relationship. I would say I'm still in the process of coming to terms with my sexual orientation because of the fact that I transitioned And partway through this whole discovery of who I am, I have to work on what my sexual orientation looks like from the perspective of a woman rather than what I thought it looked like when I was pretending to be a man. And that's something that's a little bit challenging for me and something that I'm still working through. I'm trying to figure out how relationship dynamics work now. I'm trying to figure out who I'm attracted to and what I like out of a relationship. That's all something that is a constant journey. And I know it's going to be a constant journey throughout my life, but a little bit more so right now because I'm still in the somewhat early stages of my transition. I mean, it's been 5 years since I started on hormones, so it's not super early, but when you think about how long it takes you to come to terms with your sexual orientation and discover what it's like to have relationships with people, that happens perhaps in high school for most people. It does take quite a number of years before you really become comfortable in your sexual orientation and in relationships in general, and that's something that I'm in the process of discovering a second time basically at the moment. This is an experience that I wanted to share, not because I think your experience is going to be the same as mine, but just to try to explain how it is that I came to terms with my sexual orientation, how I discovered what it was. Perhaps some of that is relatable to you, and also to let you know that there is no right way to go about this. I have my own way of self-discovery, you have your own way. We're all just fumbling through life and trying to figure ourselves out. So at the end of the day, however you go about coming to terms with who you're attracted to and whether you're attracted to people at all, because not everyone is. Perhaps my video has allowed you to discover what at least one person goes through, and maybe you can relate to pieces of this video and take from it what you will. I hope you enjoyed this. I put out my transition timeline last week. It has been receiving some really positive attention, which I'm really happy to see, and it was also quite a draining video to put out. So I thought I would try to do a video again this week because I am trying to put out weekly videos, but I needed it to be a little bit more low-key because I'm still trying to recharge from all of the work that went into that. At any rate, I hope you enjoyed this week's video. If you did, please leave it a like. If you have other video ideas, please leave them in the comments down below. And if you want to see more content like this, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell icon so you get notified every time I post a new video. And until next time, have a great day.